Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Signature West Podcast. I'm your host, Sam West from Palm Springs, California. This is my last episode for 2024, and thank you for the watching and for listening and doing all that. Hopefully, this episode will leave you inspired, or at a minimum, get you to order your next catering party for the holidays. Meet my guest, Adam Leemon. He is the founder and the owner of Palm Springs Charcuterie. Hopefully, I said that right. Hi, Adam.
How you doing? It's a Palm Springs charcuterie.
There you go. There you go. I knew I'll mess it up.
There we all go.
There you go.
Here we go. Life is an adventure.
Here we go. So before we dive into the Palm Springs story, you have an extensive background in wine, and you were a judge at Los Angeles International Wine Competition, and you were also the founder of LA Wine Fest 2010.
Not to that period. I founded that. Boy, oh boy. I guess it was going back to 2010. Really, quite a while ago. It's funny how time flies.
That's when it was founded. I did my homework.
There you go, man. Me and a partner of mine. His name still is, although he has passed. Joel Fisher started the LA Wine Fest, actually, which has turned into LA's largest consumer wine tasting event, actually.
And then how did that progress, and how did you get in the wine business in the first place?
That's a great question. It's for me, it's kind of my life story. I grew up in Michigan. Started out really as a busboy in restaurants when I was a kid. I would go after school. I was on the diving team when I was a kid in school. I loved being in the water. Where I grew up, the swim team practiced early in the morning before school. Like you had to get there at like 5 in the morning or something like that.
I did the same thing in high school.
Pardon me?
I did the same thing in high school.
Yeah. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting up early in the morning, so I'm just going to do the diving team, which did after school practice. Okay. And still got me in the water. And so I would go after school.
You froze.
A kind of fancy restaurant and started out bussing tables there. And really, that's where I kind of got my hospitality chops, if you will. Worked with some really great people. As my high school kind of was winding down, there was one day I was setting up the dining room and a server never showed up. And the manager looked at me and said, "Hey, are you ready to jump on the floor and take a table?" And so it was there that I really just jumped right into waiting tables, which led into, as the Saturday nights, I would have to set up as a busboy these brunch buffet lines for Sunday morning. And back in the late 80s, it was like big chafing dishes and those long pressed buffet kind of tables before Rubbermaid made those lighter weight plastic ones. And I would schlep those out of basements, which we had in Michigan, which we don't have here. And, set that all up. And one Saturday night, I knocked on my manager's door, and that was me knocking. There you go. It was me doing Foley artistry. And I said, "Hey, Bill, can I, give a little taste of some wine?" And he said, "Absolutely." And, literally, I poured myself a little taste. The first wine, which really the label attracted me. I remember it. It was a benchmark in my life. It was a Sanford Vingris de Pinot Noir. So basically a California wine, a rosé made from Pinot Noir.
How old were you?
I was 17, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so my boss was either really cool or really nuts. And so I would sit in on tastings and take diligent notes. And, by the time I got out of high school, I had a pretty fair knowledge of wine, just being able to work with it. And so throughout college, I waited tables in nicer restaurants and, applied that knowledge and always sat in on wine tastings. And as I got older, being the sort of late 20-year-old server that as that 16-year-old busboy, I looked at those guys and went, man, I'm never going to be one of those guys. And there I was. The business sort of sucked me in. And so I figured if that's what I was doing, I should probably get pretty serious about it. And so, I put my face in the books after, literally, 10, 15 years of just practical work, application, and studied for my sommelier examination. And that was after I had left Michigan, ended up in California, and got my certification through the Court of Master Sommeliers, which is one of a couple of governing bodies that sort of give that stamp, seal of approval. And I am not a master sommelier. There's very few of those in the world. However, I do have my introductory certificate, and I'm very proud of that, and have
Okay.
worked since I got that certification, in my opinion, with probably arguably some of the best chefs in the country, if not maybe some people might say the world. I had a chance to work with Thomas Keller at Bouchon Restaurant, which had a branch up in Napa. Actually, they've got them in Vegas and in LA as well. And have worked with Nancy Silverton prior to moving out here to the Coachella Valley, who has an amazing, maybe one of the best, if not the best, Italian restaurant in LA called Osteria Mozza. She's an amazing, nurturing, focused teaching chef, and she's just a wonderful person to work for. In the middle of all of it, I had a chance to make my way to New York. I always wanted to work in restaurants there just to see sort of the vibe and the professionalism of how California has almost, I'd say, a casual flair to even its fine dining.
Right.
New
Right.
York, I felt, was a much more traditional, straightforward expectation of what fine dining service really can be. So I had a chance to work with Rocco DiSpirito, who had
Oh
some
wow.
TV shows back in the day at Union Pacific Restaurant. And for me, it was one of the most amazing learning working experiences, and probably one of the least fun kind of experiences also.
Why is that?
It was just super by the book,
By the
very
book?
much about just fine service, not about personality, not about razzle dazzle or show or
Right.
entertainment, but very much you were secondary to the food and the manner in which it was presented.
Right.
Where I find other places, when you read restaurant reviews online, um, and this is something one of my managers early on pointed out to me, and it really flipped my paradigm as far as what the restaurant business is. And it's when you read restaurant reviews in the paper, what section of the paper are restaurant reviews in? Most people might assume the food section. But the reality of it is, regardless of the town, whether it's a small town or a big
Right.
city, in most cases, the restaurant reviews are in the entertainment section, along with movie reviews, local theater, etc., as opposed to the food section, which might say it's the opening of asparagus season and here's a recipe. So what that taught me about the restaurant business is it's really not just about food, but it really is the entertainment business. And so people, if they just wanted to eat, would go out to eat, or they would cook for themselves. But when they go out to a nice restaurant, they want a show and they want an
It's
experience.
an environment. It's an environment.
Totally. And so
Yeah.
the restaurant is a character in that
In
play,
itself.
as is the food, as is the
Yeah.
server.
Yeah. I had the audacity.
Yeah.
I had a dream once to open a restaurant. I had the audacity, and I did it in 1989 in Cathedral City.
Wow.
This is back when summer in Palm Springs, the valley here was, you drop a needle, you can hear it.
Yeah.
But I thought I have the audacity to say I'm going to do this, and it was a
Cool.
full-on bar, a piano bar, full liquor. I mean, I went all the way out, and naturally it closed. 6 months later, and I would say this: if you give me a restaurant now on a platter with a
Uh-huh.
key, I would say no.
It's
I would
it's
say no.
a stressful, one of the most stressful businesses there is in most
Yeah,
studies. Maybe
people
one
don't
is.
think people think it's, you go make a meal in the back and you bring it in and it's all the glamour, and it's tough industry. But continue.
And everything that goes into it, the
So
food
much,
costing, ordering,
so much
inventory, staffing, hiring, scheduling, making sure
taxes,
everything goes on the
employment
plate when they
taxes.
have to,
Yeah,
according to the law.
yeah,
It's nuts. And
exactly.
um, so in kind of making my way around restaurants, after getting my sommelier certification, after working in New York, I got a phone call from a buddy of my brother's, actually, who had just opened up a restaurant in LA, called Dolce Restaurant.
Oh yeah,
And it was Ashton Kutcher's place, really, at the time. If Paris Hilton had a heyday, it would have been kind of in that time. And
she did have a heyday.
huh?
She did have a heyday.
She sure did.
She
She
did.
sure did. And to kind of be a fly on the wall and a little bit of a part of that scene, it was something to see. Everybody in the world walk through there, really have served wine to Shoot, I would say every celebrity in my generation. I open up People magazine or turn on the TV now, and sometimes I scratch my head and I'm not quite sure who all these guys are. But back in the day, every one of them, whether it was Bono or Prince or Paris Hilton or, uh, the Olsen twins, everybody came through there. It
The
was
LA
really
life, the LA
a
life,
trip.
the LA life.
And then had a chance, left California. I had an import and distribution company with some buddies for a little bit, and then got a phone call from a friend of mine that had worked in Michigan, who is a master sommelier. This woman, Elizabeth Schweitzer, she was really, I think, the second fully certified female master sommelier in the world, or
Wow.
in the top handful. And she used to run the wine program and still does at a hotel in the middle of the Great Lakes on an island called the Grand Hotel. It's on Mackinac Island, sort of in northern Michigan, and it's a real benchmark for a lot of people. It was in the movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve back in the day,
Okay.
and Jane Seymour was also in that movie. So it holds a place for people. It's really a beautiful historic place. And then after I had been working there, um, decided that I couldn't take another winter back in Michigan, moved back to California, met my wife, which was really the best part of that move for sure. And then after a few years, we decided that with the increase in traffic and the fact that we no longer went out to nightclubs anymore, that LA wasn't the place for a couple of old people like us. And
Oh, stop. Oh, stop.
and so we decided to kind of cash in our chips there and move out here to the Coachella Valley, which has been amazing. We love it. It's been such the best.
And what year was this?
About 5 years ago, actually, 2019, we moved out here.
Now, did you carry the wine tasting thing with you to the valley?
Actually, it's a fairly new incarnation. My sommelier certification is something that's always in my back pocket.
Right.
And so when I landed out here, we thought, my wife's in entertainment, so it puts her close enough to go back to LA if she needs to work. And being out here in the valley for me, this valley is driven by hospitality, so I thought
Right.
it couldn't be a better fit for me.
Right.
And with my qualifications and my background, I figured there's not many people in the Coachella Valley with, I would say, my wine qualifications and background. So I thought it put me in a unique spot. I ended up getting a job at the Pink Cabana at the Sands Hotel and Spa out in Indian Wells.
Okay.
It's connected right to the Nest, if
Right.
you know the Nest
Right.
there.
Right.
And amazing place, really beautiful, small boutique place. And it was really just nice and cozy. And then COVID came around. Boom, I got furloughed. And literally, while I was driving home, I had a vision for Palm Springs wine tasting. I had a feeling that COVID would be sort of long lasting and have great effects on social and familial and friend interactions. And I wanted to do what I could do to provide as safe an environment as I could, where people could still get together when all the restaurants were closed, in a manner that was safe and comfortable. And so people were still coming out here to the valley. There were still vacation rentals. And with all the restaurants being closed,
Right.
Palm Springs wine tasting was born, really, where I do private in-home sommelier services, where I go to people's homes, bring everything you need for a tasting, including the wines, the custom printed tasting menus, a little bit of Palm Springs kind of
Right.
flair, and everything that's up in my cabeza here. And depending on the interaction and engagement, it can be as educational as they want it to be,
Right.
or as just fun as they want it to be. And usually each one is very different. And in the past few years, I've done hundreds of these tastings. It's
Good
it's
for
been
you.
amazing to me. My clients are the best, and the interaction, and I always feel like I leave them with a little bit of information that they can carry with them to apply in their lives, whether
So
it's
do you charge per event or is it per?
it is per private scheduled event, almost as if you were, say, booking a private chef, if you will.
But
So you
just for the
schedule
wine.
me for a day, I come out to you, and I have a number of packages on palmspringswinetasting.com that, depending on what your taste profile, your interest may be, and budget, we can accommodate a lot of those.
Fabulous.
And and so, that's Palm Springs wine tasting, I say in a nutshell. And then, a couple years ago, I had sort of another vision.
Another vision.
There we go.
That's how things work out.
Yeah, exactly. I've done so many different. I've owned an art gallery, and I've had a wine import distribution company, and this Palm Springs wine. And then I had this idea for Palm Springs charcuterie, and we love the parks here. We have a couple of dogs. You have any dogs?
One.
Yeah, cool. They're the best.
Yeah.
And so we love taking our dogs to, do you know Demuth Park here
Of
in Palm
course, yes.
Springs?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite parks around. It's kind of closer to our house here, and it's lovely, green views of the mountains. And I just had this idea, particularly it flashed kind of in a couple different ways, but one of them was in LA. There's a park there. It's called Griffith Park. It's a huge city.
I went to high school at Marshall High.
Oh, far out, right in
Yeah.
Los Feliz.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so in Griffith Park, there's this little stand there that's shoot, right this second in the middle of an interview, I can't think of the name of it, but there's like a little food stand there that sells sandwiches and snacks and what have you. And I thought that's something that's missing from our parks here. We have no vending up at any of the parks here. And I had this vision for sort of a picnic in the park experience where I could provide everything that somebody might need for a picnic in the park. All you got to do is show up. And so, after kind of getting into it and learning that at the time, Palm Springs literally had no legal food vendors, mobile food vendors in the city of Palm Springs, nor was there a system set up to establish that.
Except for the Village Fest.
Correct, and those are specifically permitted only for that one
That
particular
one time.
place,
Right.
particularly for those nights.
Correct.
But in an overall sense, if you've noticed around this valley, there have been zero. There have been a few food trucks around, but there have been zero up until Palm Springs Charcuterie, hit the scene, that have been fully certified by both the city and the Riverside County Health Department.
Oh.
And so I went out and I researched and worked with the city and the Parks and Recreation, who have all been amazing. The health department here is awesome. Everybody, if I were to try and do this in LA, I feel like I would run into a bunch of walls, and it'd be really difficult to try and do something.
Bigger city, bigger problems.
Totally. And here, people were so lovely and so sweet and so accommodating with what my vision was, and helped me either A, jump through the hoops that already existed, and or B, a lot of the forms now and the system that is now in place in Palm Springs for CMFO, Certified Mobile Food Operators, certification and approval, whatever, is completely based on all of the paperwork that I put in.
Oh, wow.
So I was like the
initiator,
if you will. Yeah, exactly. For the citywide now instituted program in Palm Springs. So I was.
Congrats to you.
Thank you. It was a lot of hard work and just, kept going, And I think that I know your program really is oftentimes geared about motivation and hopefully inspiration. And, I got to tell our listening audience, I'm a pretty everyday guy. I've done a lot of different things, as everybody that's watching or listening has as well. And I think that oftentimes people find these sort of systemic, operational business daunting. And hey, I'm like Rudolph with the hey, Adam with your nose so bright. And is that if you just go step by step, if I can do it, really, I feel that anybody can do it. And I've worked my whole life. I'm not a rich guy. So, I've saved a little bit here and there. And these permits that you need to be fully certified and legal are not exorbitantly expensive.
Right.
And so to be able to do this, I think is a possibility for everybody. And I think it now that this system is in place also, and also part of this was, and so I went out and got a trailer, and I had it wrapped with Pacific Coast, the trailer wraps over here on 111, which did such a beautiful job.
So
And
that photo of that truck of the trailer is yours. It actually does exist.
it does, yeah, it's super cute,
I
right?
did not know that.
Yes.
I did not know that.
And so
It's
we
super
have
cute.
the option now to literally be able to sell food with that mobile trailer anywhere in the city of Palm Springs, fully certified.
So where do you go? Like, so what's
So
your?
I have really stepping back. The initial vision was to do this picnic in the park experience. So working
Right,
with Parks and Recreation, they have been amazing,
right.
where they've allowed me literally to pull that trailer up on the grass, kind of over near the pickleball courts, if you will. I thought was a really great spot, and I'd been there for a while.
I've never seen you there.
Well, and I've kind of bop around a little bit, and so, um, and also during the summer, it was so hot here, really unbearable. It doesn't have air conditioning, to be honest,
No,
so
no,
it
no.
kind of went a little quiet.
I hear you.
Um, and so I was down at the Maryland for a while, and I did the Rock the Park events with the Chamber of Commerce, and I've done art openings at the Desert Arts Center, and down in the Perez Art District, I've been invited to pop up there. So really all over the place. I really love to be a part of the community. I think there's a certain relationship between sort of the art community and nibbles and
Right,
charcuterie.
right.
And we've delivered to the Palm Springs Art Museum. We've done great charity events. For It Gets Better, really a organization
Organization.
geared towards LGBTQ youth, and just knowing that sometimes as a kid those times can be a little tough, but in quotes, it gets better. And so it's a wonderful organization that we had a chance to work with as well. And I have a great big order coming up this weekend. We have quite a week this week with there's a big festival that the guys that own Palm Springs Bottle Shop, a really cool wine shop that has a location in Mojave Flea, and also at Market, which is a real interesting sort of vendor flea markety kind of thing, but kind of upscale mid-century stuff. And
So
so
are you also doing excuse me? Are you also doing private parties as well?
absolutely.
Okay.
And so I have a delivery later this afternoon. So in addition to
Right,
just being out at the park, we also do charcuterie boards,
right.
beautiful boards, charcuterie boards. I do fresh fruit, crudité. And my background, really, I went to school for fine art. And so for me, this is like three-dimensional painting with colors and textures. And I think that my charcuterie boards, if anybody has a chance and to go to palmspringcharcuterie.com,
Where did you where did you go to school?
Eastern Michigan University.
I went to the same program in UCLA. That's so
Oh,
crazy.
far out.
Yeah, it's so
And it led
crazy.
you to real estate, and it led me to the restaurant business.
And that led me to real estate. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Wow.
By the time I got out of school, I learned how to mix purple. But the one thing that I felt failed my education is they didn't teach you a darn thing about the business of art where I went.
No, no. But
Nothing.
it was a good aesthetically experience because that's what I really wanted is the aesthetics of homes and the fabric and the colors and the texture. Yeah,
Yeah, totally,
yeah,
totally, Sam.
yeah.
Totally. And so, so also I've noticed over the past 6 months, I had gotten a lot of inquiries about, do you guys do charcuterie boards? And
Right.
that wasn't initially the focus of what my business was about. But I years ago started to write a book that, after getting into it, I found myself that the whole idea got to be a little boring. But there were a couple things that I got, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this. But there were a couple things that came out of it that I thought have always stuck with me. And it was really it was going to be called "Wine is the Tie That Binds" or something like that. And I interviewed a bunch of guys that owned wineries that also had done other things in their life and had successful families, and all their kids got along, which is a family life that everybody could always ideally dream about having. And some of
Right.
these people have these kinds of things. And so I was asking, what are your keys to success in life? And wine was the thing that tied them together. And so
Right.
I interviewed a guy who I actually helped launch a wine brand with, this guy Kedar Massenberg, who was the president of Motown Records years ago. He's the guy that discovered Alicia Keys and D'Angelo. It was kind of that era. And there was another guy that I interviewed, this guy named Jeff Gargiulo, who owns a vineyard up in Napa called Gargiulo Vineyards, named after his family. But he's the CEO of Sunkist, oranges and orange
Oh
juice.
yeah.
something both these guys said to me independently of each other was, they've tried all kinds of different things in business, but they have found the thing that really made them successful or gone on to was not creating a product and trying to find a product to fill the product that they made, but seeing what the market is looking for and then creating a product to fill that niche.
Solving a problem.
Bingo. And so in that case, I had a little bit of a paradigm shift with my initial picnic in the park idea, which I thought was my idea, was a great idea, trying to sell an idea to the public and create a new thing where, say, people didn't have to sit inside of a restaurant. They could be outside and enjoy our mountains and the beautiful scenery. I've recently gotten a lot of inquiries about trays and parties and boards or grazing
Oh,
tables,
yeah,
kinds of
sure.
things. And so based on the sheer number of inquiries, it made a light bulb go off
Oh,
and just,
yeah,
Adam, you need to shift into this a little bit.
for sure.
And so I've expanded over the past couple of months. I've shifted my website completely, where the picnic in the park is still an option. We still can come out and do private parties, but these boards and tables seem to have superseded my initial vision, honestly.
The
And
wine tasting and the trays for the parties. Hello.
I can wrap them both in together. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And
And the holidays are coming.
exactly.
Yeah.
And we have, I work out of, and because it's all above the boards, I'm not doing this out of, and there are certified home kitchens, and there are people that have, I forgot what it's called. Anyway, there's people that artisanal permits, people that can say make bread out of their home and sell it. But really, for me to be a certified mobile food operator operating wherever I want in the city, even just selling to the public, not necessarily under a contracted like catering kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
I need to be legally working in a commercial grade kitchen. And so there's literally one game in town in Palm Springs that opened up like 6 months ago. It's called TKS, the Kitchen Station. It's in North Palm Springs. It's up Indian Canyon, just across the freeway. There's a little Harley dealership. There's a little strip
Oh,
mall
yeah,
over
yeah.
there. It's a funky little spot over there. But there's like what was an old restaurant that wasn't in use. This woman came in who has a couple of these TKSs around Southern California. And so she opened up this space. And now there's about somewhere around, when I look at the time cards, we have to punch in and out. We pay by the hour there. Give or take, there's about 15 or 20 different people, whether they're caterers or somebody that makes a chocolate chip cookie brand, a small brand,
Interesting. And I
artisanal
think
brand.
there's one in Rancho Mirage.
There may be, I'm not sure if it's still around or not. And that would be something I know when I was looking at it, though, at least for me geographically, I live, it was so far away.
Right, right.
For
I get
me,
it. I get it. Yeah.
it's tough. Even going across the valley sometimes, particularly, when it gets windy and those roads that go across get closed, I got to drive all the way around to Cathedral City to go to North Palm Springs. And it adds really an extra 45 minutes on my day. And when you think
Wow.
about me as a small business trying to do this single-handedly with
Right.
labor costs and time,
Right.
that's all I got.
Right,
That extra hour, it was a killer. I'm so happy to see, though, the construction that's being moved forward on over Indian Canyon there.
It's evolving. It's evolving. It's evolving. It's a never-ending
Fingers
evolving.
crossed,
Yeah,
I think it
yeah,
should work.
yeah.
And so that little kitchen's been amazing. We've connected with a couple of other vendors there. There's one, Lola's Sally's Cucina, a Filipino producer. Someone, Secret Poke, that does this Hawaiian style poke. There's Papa's Barbecue, which does this smoked Southern style barbecue that's super delicious. And my charcuterie. And we decided, really, it's something I started with this just vision that I had. I thought that Palm Springs could use a food court, if you will. So
Is that the event on December the 10th?
it is. It's right around the corner.
Okay.
I'm so
Go for
excited.
it.
Thank
Go for
you. And basically it's going to be 4 vendors under one roof. And so we're small vendors, those 4. So it's a Filipino food, barbecue, poke, really. So it's nice, fresh, almost sushi style fish if nobody knows what poke is. And my charcuterie, we're going to offer sandwiches and also a meze platter. So it's going to be a vegan platter as well. Open to the public, a la carte. There's going to be some seating inside. The scene itself, it's it's in an industrial kitchen. So it's not fancy, it's not fluffy, but it's got great integrity and the food is going to be amazing.
Is it like a little mini village fest?
Yeah, exactly. It's,
Okay.
it's for people. And I hope that this is the first one. I hope that this is something, it seems, I've spread it around different Facebook groups and all these local ones, and people seem to think, oh, this is a really cool idea. Let's go. Literally, fingers crossed. We have no idea who's going to show up. It's a
Listen, you
shot.
gotta try. You gotta try.
I think so too. That's what
Yeah,
life's about, man.
absolutely. Take a risk.
I think so too.
No
I
one's
think
gonna die. No one's gonna die in the process. I
that's
can
what I
assure
think
you that.
also. Yep, it's
Yeah,
just food.
yeah,
We're not leaving anybody stranded in the space station. Like,
exactly.
right
So
now.
it's December the 10th from 4 till 8.
It is exactly. It's called TKS. The Kitchen Station is the name of the location.
Okay.
And I could be happy to tell you the address as soon as I pull it up. It's like 19.
I thought I had it, but I don't.
I'm gonna have it. Give me 1 second here.
Take your time.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, you edit this a little bit, yes? A touch, I hope. There we go. And 19345 North Indian Canyon.
There you go.
There we go. Tuesday the 10th from 4 to 8. And they can always check out my website, palmspringscharcuterie.com or palmspringswinetasting.com, or follow us on Instagram at either one of those, PS Charcuterie, PS Wine Tasting. And I always respond to people and they write me an email.
This is fabulous. I think it's a great idea. I think you're doing the right thing in the right track.
I hope so.
I'm glad you came. I did not know half the stuff you mentioned, so I'm glad I didn't know your business model to now. So I'm glad I learned a lot.
Cool.
And by the way, you guys, the truck is so cute. So cute. I thought it was an art, like a painting. I didn't realize it was an actual truck or a van.
Trailer,
Yeah, it's very cute. So if you go to the website, you'll see it. Very, very cute. I'm sure that costs a pretty penny. Yeah. Thank you again, everybody else. I'm glad you tuned in. Hopefully you learned a lot and support small business. Support us. Please subscribe if you have not. It helps me to bring somebody like Adam here to tell you all about his work and how he's involved in the community. Have a great holidays, and thank you for watching. Be well and be kind. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.